So, did you know that Sony actually has the parts to make 4.7 million PlayStation consoles still in 2021? It's August. That is a lot of consoles for the next few months. Let's talk about this. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, trying to get to 100K by December, and I appreciate your help getting there. Okay, so this story is because basically I somehow totally missed that Sony's Q1 earnings happened on August 4th. I was enamored with Halo at that time, and somebody pointed out like, hey, why didn't you talk about the Sony earnings? And I was like, oh my God, there's tons of stuff in here. So let's start with consoles, because everybody who doesn't have a PlayStation 5 wants one. And guess what? They have the parts to make 4.7 million more PlayStation 5 consoles in 2021. And that's a conservative estimate based on what their goal is that they say they can hit for 2021. So, they said that there's no change to this fiscal year's target of selling more than 14.8 million units of PlayStation 5, which was the number of units we sold for PlayStation 4 in the fiscal year after its launch. That's according to them. And if you remember, end of June, beginning of July, they had sold 10.1 million PlayStation 5s, putting them on pace to sell, where are my notes here, 22.6 million PlayStation 5s or more. Like, that is their goal, and it seems like they have enough to meet their goal and then some. So from that earnings call, and it's sort of nice to go back and not feel rushed about these stories because you can sort of reflect and think about it. A question was asked, and this is a very important question. So currently, what is the impact of the shortage of semiconductors, and what do you expect going forward? And the second question, once again, about the shortage of semiconductors. Taiwan TSMC may be building a factory in Japan, and I do hear about the partnership with Sony. So is there anything that you can comment on about this TSMC issue? So I'm just going to read you what they said, because there's so much information in his one statement that basically Sony has this massive plan for a big PlayStation 5 push, or at least they're going to taper out these units, I'm guessing with a huge push around November and Christmas time to just drive sales. So Hiroki Totoki, Chief Financial Officer and Director, said, "Thank you for your question. Number one question with regarding the impact of the shortage of semiconductors. And number two was that the media reports about TSMC and our potential partnership with them when they build a factory in Japan." So for those two questions, I would like to respond. Here's the semiconductor part. The shortage of semiconductors have impacts in various areas and through various measures. We have been taking some actions for PS5 this year. The number of units to be sold today, this year, has been set. The target has been set. And we have secured a number of chips that's necessary to achieve that. And regarding the supply of semiconductors, we're not concerned. And also for consumer electronics segment, we do use a lot of semiconductors in various areas, so some availability of parts and components is a source of concern. But we do have access to second sources, and for parts and components, we have some strategic inventory as well. So we have been taking various measures so that the production and sales will not be impeded. So for now, the time being, we have been able to control the situation, but going forward, we cannot remain complacent. So we would like to have access to good information so that we will be able to smoothly continue to produce and sell our products. Regarding the media reports that you have mentioned, we have not sent out that information. So as of now, there is nothing that we can say about this. Their partnership with, I believe it was TSCM. They can't talk about that stuff. I believe there's like legal issues, so they can't talk about it. But as was mentioned by Mr. Yoshida, the CEO, in the past, in general, the logic chip supply is something that is very critical if you look at the Japanese industry as a whole. In order to maintain international competitiveness, the logic chips are very critical. That is the end of my response. So let me just read between the lines a little bit, and this is just conjecture on my part, but here's what I'm hearing. they have a ton of semiconductors. Sony makes electronics, right? So they're allowed to do whatever they want with the semiconductors they bought. As far as I know, they have no obligation to put it in some of their lower selling units, so they can divert those semiconductors to be utilized in their PlayStation 5 units if it has an applicable usage, right? So they have this goal of selling 14, what was it? It's 14 point something this fiscal year to hit their goal of, I think it's 22.6 million by 2022. So as they said, the goal is to sell 14.8 million units of PlayStation 5, which was the number of units we sold of PlayStation 4 in the fiscal year after its launch. And that means they got 4.7 million more consoles to go. So they have this huge goal. They seem to have a strategy in place. They seem like it's an important topic and an important concern for investors, but they are also expressing a lot of confidence about being able to secure those semiconductors, not only internally, but also their second sources. But we do have access to second sources, and for parts and components, we have some strategic inventory as well. So potentially diverting from other products that they want to build, and some sort of partnership that we aren't aware of where they're able to secure these very coveted components so that they can hit their 2021 goals and then go into 2022. And if we look at the previous story about this, they should have their infrastructure set up so that they don't have to worry about this challenge anymore. And they are sort of good to go by the time 2022 rolls around, and they can just build the semiconductors they need. Or I can't remember what I talked about in the last video. I'll have to link to it at the end. But yeah, so lots of PlayStation 5s should be coming into the market quite soon. It's an interesting story, and there's a ton more to dive into in those earning calls that I missed on August 4th, because everybody talked about the sales and how well the sales were doing. I think I did that like the week before, so I thought it was redundant info, but looking into it, there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and I'm excited to talk about it over the next few days. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like these sort of late night rambles, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when I went live. Also, let me know if you got a PlayStation 5. And hey, if you want to become a member, memberships are a thing YouTube offers. Memberships are open here on the Destin channel. I try to upload the video without ads for all members. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined the channel. I really, really appreciate it. And I do have some merch. So grab yourself a coffee cup, get a cup of Joe, and enjoy. All right, I'm going to get out of here, everybody. Have a wonderful day, evening, time. Say something nice to somebody, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.